Alright, so this is the Hellcat F6F Grumman. Now, I've been having problems with this thing. I haven't been able to keep it in the air for more than 10 minutes. Apparently I was killing my engine. But I think I figured out the settings. And it's a hell of a lot easier to take off than the T51, and a lot easier to fly, other than the fact that I couldn't keep it up for more than 10 minutes. That sounded weird, but I couldn't keep this plane up in the air for more than 10 minutes at a time. It would just keep losing power, and then the engines would die. But it turns out, I think I was just killing my engine. I was over revving it, keeping it at super high RPMs. So I think I figured out the settings. I have my fuel mixture set to rich, auto rich, and my propellers down to 70%. And that keeps my RPMs down, and I can keep my manifold pressure fairly high at around 45, 40 for regular flight, and it keeps me accelerating and climbing, which is what you want.
Serpico drinks whiskey, 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 leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
It is a cool World War II plane. Definitely a cool World War II plane. It's got some battle scars on it. Some rust. And it handles really well. It's like kind of a pleasure to fly. Very predictable, and it's got a low stall speed of like 53 knots or something like that. Something ridiculous. So you can do
Santa Rosa Tower,
low speed loops
whiskey frequency change
pretty easily. Like right now I'm going to pull into a loop, and yeah, no stalling. And I wasn't going that fast. And this plane doesn't really fly that fast, but it is really maneuverable at these lower speeds. And apparently, in World War II, it would kill 30 Japanese Zeros for every one Hellcat loss. So, if that story's true, that's pretty dope. Yeah, really stable, really maneuverable at lower speeds. I'm gonna kick back my throttle just a little bit. Yeah, so I'm climbing, not really losing much speed in my climb, so that's good. And we're gonna fly it around for about 10 minutes or so and see if my engine fails again. And if it does, you will see a spectacular crash. Because I've tried gliding this thing, it doesn't really want to glide that long because it's pretty heavy. This highway is nice looking for a buzz. To switch it to the inside view for that. I don't want to fuck it up and ram it into the ground. Alright, let's head south. We are heading south. Let's try to find Petaluma. We took off from Santa Rosa, Charles Schultz. And Petaluma should be just due south. And I am going southeast right now. like the open cockpit, that you can shut the cockpit if you want, but I like being able to see outside without the windshield glare. Alright, Petaluma should be Petaluma right there, but I don't see the lights for the airport beacon light. I'm about 2,500 feet up. Should see it, because that's the airport right there. But the light hasn't loaded in yet, probably. Yeah, probably. But sometimes you should be able to see it from like 10 miles away. Yeah, this is totally the airport. Alright, I just loaded something, and I think I just saw the light. Yep, there it is. That little stutter was the airport loading in. Alright, so I'd say I've been in the air for a few minutes now, maybe 5 minutes. Do a little airport buzz. Got a little choppy there. Alright, she seems pretty stable right now. Hasn't dropped any RPMs yet. But we still haven't been flying for very long, so like I said, I'm going to keep it to just about 10-15 minutes, and then if my plane doesn't die, we'll set her in for a landing. And this thing actually has a tail hook, so I can land it on the carriers, which is fun. I just have to find that thing, find the control for that, and bind it. So, and apparently you could also catapult this plane from anywhere, as if like a built-in catapult feature. So you can just, like, from any airport, just shoot it right up into the sky. I would do a carrier landing if I could, if I knew where the tail hook was. It's around here somewhere. Oh yeah, I can't use my mouse either, because I'm in this view. Alright, whatever. We'll just land it at a regular airport for now. So I think I'm going about 250 knots, 255 knots, something like that, I think. This thing doesn't really go that fast. But again, it's really fun to fly. Ooh, I don't know if I want to attempt an underpass. I could do it in a P-51 at much faster speed, but I could control the P-51. Had a lot more practice than that P-51, which I now love, by the way. Like, it was so hard to learn how to fly, but once you do, once you figure out its little quirks, it is a beast. You can fly about twice as fast as this thing. Not quite as maneuverable, but still pretty maneuverable, the P-51, but this thing is just so stable at low speeds. Like, look at that. I would not have been able to do that in the P-51. No way. Yeah, I I think by this point my engine would have died, or start dying by now. Let's see if we could go across the bay. We'll do a little run around San Francisco and then head back to Petaluma for a landing. If we could do that, if we can go that far and back, because it's not really that far, but the way I was flying this thing before, I would not have made it. That would be too far. Alright, so I think I'm going the right way. Yeah. Alright, San Francisco should be to the left, across the bay. So I think I'm going about 210 knots, 205 maybe. I think. It's just so hard to read this thing. And I am at about 1,000 feet. P-51MA, what's that? Bang Ping. I've never seen a P-51MA before. I've seen the P-51D, P-51B, P-51A. I think I have a P-51D. Huh. I won't be able to see the livery or the actual plane model unless I have the actual plane. Alright, engine power is stable right now. Let's try to level off here, trim it out. Trim is a pilot's best friend, especially in these old prop planes. $240 something knots, 235 knots, I think I'm going. Cool. If I angle the plane the right way, you can see the handprints of the people who've worked on the plane. Now you can't see it on this side. It's usually on that side of the plane. You can see it. But they put a lot of nice details into this model, for sure. Yeah, I totally would have lost power by now. But let's keep it going. Like I said, we're going to do a quick fly around San Francisco, and then we'll run it back to Petaluma for a landing, if we can make it. That would be about twice as far as I've ever flown in this plane so far. Let's give it a little bit more juice here. I want to fly down the Golden Gate. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever even taken a full flight in this plane with takeoff and the flight and landing at all, ever. So this will be the first one. Oh, I'm not going to chance this. I don't want to crash. I was going to go in between in the openings, but sometimes you clip a wing. You don't do it right. I'll do some city flying, check out the city performance, because quite a few of the aircraft I have don't perform very well over cities. This one performs okay, not too bad. P-51 performs pretty well in city environments, but the H-145 is not that good for some reason. The H-135 is pretty good in the city, but I think it's all coming down to the actual complexity of the physics model, which the H-145 is much more complex. than the free version, of course. Whoa, my real low. Alright, getting a little wobble. A lot of reprojection happening now. Let's get out of here and roll back to Petaluma. Do a low flyby Alcatraz. Yeah, getting a little stuttering now. Does look cool though. I want to see that P-51A, but I won't be able to see the plane model. It'll just show up as some generic plane, probably. A G-21. In the drink. You blew it, Jujon. Jujon left it. An N1 bang ping. One in. Get off. In an F-22. Some bullshit. Everybody's got to fly the really fast fighter. Like, I have more fun in these World War II warbirds. Alright, let's get a little altitude here. Ooh. Yeah, so this is totally the longest I've ever had this thing in the air. What's up, all Pikachu in your F-18? I do love the F-18 though, it is super fun to fly, but it's too easy. Everything's automated, like all that shit. This is fucking way too easy. Keep it above 200 miles an hour, you can do almost anything in that thing. I gotta say, this plane is really smooth, real intuitive. Let's see if we kick the manifold pressure a little higher. Let's keep it at 45. I don't feel all that confident in this plane sticking together by the time I make it, but it feels good. It's not dropping RPMs like it usually does. So I think I figured it out. Thanks to Crackpot as well for giving me a little bit to work with as far as the propeller settings and the mixture settings. But also, I was watching another YouTube video, and it said to keep the manifold pressure under 45. You keep it under 45, and your RPMs under 36,000, I think he said. You'll be okay. Like your engine shouldn't die on you. So that pretty much worked. Alright, we're about 2,000 feet. Let's climb to about 3,000, and Petaluma is just off in the distance. I can see their lights from here. Not like on the approach the other time where you couldn't see the lights until I was like fucking 2 miles away. I'd say I'm about 15 miles away now and I can see them. Alright, we're at 3,150 feet, or 3,250 feet. Alright, that's good. Try to keep it level. I think I'm going 220 knots, I believe. I'm not sure. That's it right there. 220, right? Maybe. I have no idea the top speed on this thing. I could probably check, but I'm not gonna do that quite yet. Going into a climb. I want to keep it level. My trim is all off, so I keep bouncing up and down. a mile. Yeah, this thing doesn't trim. The trim on it is not exact, but it helps. Better than nothing. Neither is it on the P51, but I think I've got a handle on the P51 trim at this point. Alright, let's start slowing down a little bit, just a little bit. All my gas looks good. Alright. We'll set her into an approach Petaluma, or maybe we'll go to Napa. Let's go to Napa. I can't take Napa. Alright. Well, we don't need clearance. We're just going to set her down. And we'll set her down at Petaluma since it's close. I think glide speed, I want to be landing at around 83 miles an hour. 80, 83. Or is that knots? Not sure. Doesn't matter. I'm going to eyeball it. Bring her around 50% throttle right now. See what that does. See how fast or slow that gets us. Alright, I think we're passing 200 knots. Or maybe that's 100 knots, I don't know.
Air Shuttle Flight 816 follows the generic on final.
It's probably 200 knots.
7 and 4. Clear to land runway tree 2. Clear to land runway tree.
You can't see the fingerprints on this plane. It's on a different livery I have. Alright, whatever. Alright, so I'm about 170 knots right now. 160. Now, I'm pretty sure that's how fast I'm flying. 160 knots, I'll put my flaps down. Just one set of flaps. Let's go 2 sets. And gear down. Like I said earlier, there's a tail hook on this fucker, so I can land on carriers. Alright, trim up, trim up. This thing is a lot more stable at low speeds again than the P51. I can glide this a little bit better. Alright, how fast are we going? About 120. 120 knots, probably about 100 miles an hour. And we're about 500 feet. I like my glide path right now. So much easier to land than the P51. I mean, this is like a vacation. Landing in that P51 is like fucking terrifying. The odds are in your favor to die in the P51. Alright, here we go. My center line is all off, but whatever. I think I'm going too fast too, but yeah, look at that. So easy. So easy to get down on the ground. Easy to steer, easier to steer anyway, but on the ground. complete flight in the Hellcat. Awesome, awesome plane. Really enjoying it. Thanks, Crackpot. Oh, there we go. That engine sound is awesome too.